And this is how you stay young. You hang around with young people. You don't hang around with a lot of old people talking about their medicines and their aches and their pains. Although these young guys have aches and pains too. My son Mark, over here, his friend Brayden. Over here, my son Henry, and Frank, his buddy. What's your name? What is it? Quentin. And over here we have Claude. Good morning and welcome to another edition of Mark's Inspiration. Glad you could join me here today as always. It's a cold one here today. It was supposed to be 46 degrees Fahrenheit, but it's about 20. And the wind's blowing about 25 to 30 miles an hour, so it's a frosty one here. I love the warm weather, but just not going to get that today. Am I? Today's topic is going to be how to stay young. How to stay young forever. Well, we can't stay young forever, but you can feel young forever if you should choose to do that. And how do you do that? Before I begin, smash that like button now and subscribe. All right. At the beginning of this video, I put a clip and showed me spending time with my sons last night. Some of their friends were over last night. And that is one of the ways you can stay young, is hang around with people who are younger than you. Now, you're going to get these shamers and haters out there. I had one yesterday. I had posted on Rich Cooper's, one of his videos about how older men like younger women. I'd posted on there that I'd went out with this girl that was 18 years old. She's 21 or 22. She's 22 now. Okay, and this woman come back trying to shame me and, oh, what could you possibly have in common with an 18-year-old? And I hope my daughter never meets a guy like you, etc., etc. All right. Now, you don't let that get to you, because as long as you're not breaking any laws, and I wasn't, then what's the problem, okay? 18-year-olds are supposed to be adults. Nobody says anything about these 18-year-olds on pornography and doing some of the things that I can't even imagine, that I didn't even know people did. I can't believe it. Anyway, I'm not into porn. I have watched it occasionally, but I can see where people get addicted to it, so I stay away from it. And besides that, I was always one, if you can't touch them and you can't be with a girl, what's the point in watching that stuff? But what I'm saying is, basically what people will tell you is act your own age. Okay, I guess I could go to the senior citizens place up there and sit around and talk about my meds and my aches and pains and play Yahtzee and bingo. And hey, that's great if that's what you want to do. I prefer not to focus on my aches and pains and any medicines that I'm taking. I don't take any medicines, but if I were, and I certainly don't want to listen to people telling me about their operations, how long they suffered in the hospital, how they just can't get up anymore, how their knees are giving out on them, how they had a hip operation, etc., etc. I mean, that's all good and fine if that's your thing. I just don't care to listen to it. I don't want to be around it, and it's negative as far as I'm concerned. When you're around young kids, now they talk about their aches and pains too, but what you realize is, hey, aches and pains are a part of life. It's not that you're getting old, it's just that you're living life. If you're moving, you're out doing something, you're going to have some aches and pains. It's just part of life. You're going to break some bones. I mean, I see my 18-year-old son stumble around sometimes. No, he's not drunk. He's not high. It's just what happens. But if you're older, and I've seen him fall down trying to step over a board. But if you're older, the first thing someone will say, if they're older, you're not as young as you used to be. You're going to have to start slowing down. I had people telling me when I was 40 years old and running, 45, you can't, you better slow down on that. You better quit that running. I had a friend of mine that told me here just a while back, I'd really been I think I hurt my back. I hurt my back doing sprints with my son, right? Well, actually, I hurt my back when I was in my 20s, training for my first pro fight. And I probably shouldn't have fought, but I did, and I won, but I really messed it up even more when I fought. Okay, so it's been a little problem throughout the years. And I was doing sprints with my son here a couple years back, and I did like 6 or 8 sprints. We were running 5 or 6 miles, and we would do sprints during the 5-mile run. And I felt it kind of tweak, but I kept running anyway, which was a mistake. So I really re-injured it again. And it's taken quite a bit of time to get it strengthened back up, but it's doing really good now. Okay, I had my friend tell me that, you know what, you better quit that running or you're going to end up in a wheelchair or some shit like that. I don't know what it was. But, and they mean well. They're not trying to discourage you from enjoying your life. They mean well. They don't want to see you get hurt. But they don't tell you that stuff when you're in your 20s or your teens and you get hurt. Because they're programmed, just like I can feel some of that programming in me, that when you get to be a certain age, you can't do this or you can't do that. Well, I'll tell you what Henry Ford said. If you believe you can, you're right. And if you believe you can't, you're right. So it's your choice. What do you desire to believe? I seen a guy that was, I think, 70 years old the other day, and he's doing these gymnastic moves on a straight bar. And I mean, I can't do that. And this guy's older than me. But now, if he would happen to fall, maybe break a wrist or something, people would be saying to him, people close to his age or younger, a little younger, would be saying, you know, you're getting too old for that. You better quit that. But the guy enjoys it. He's living his life. Now, if he fell when he was 20 years old, they wouldn't say he better quit. They would they would account it as an injury that you get while doing sports. So what's the reality there? Well, I'll tell you what the reality is. It's what you choose to believe. There's a guy, I've seen a lot of guys. There's a guy named Thor. He has videos and he helps men become better men. I don't know if he's my age or he may even be older. I'm not sure. But this guy's built like, you know, he's got the abs. He's big. He's bigger than I am. And he looks great. Now, I'm sure he's had injuries when he was young. And I'm sure he's had injuries when he's old. Because I can look at the man and tell that he's worked out hard to gain that physique that he has. The problem is when you get old and you have injuries, people always attribute it to your age instead of attributing it to life. You've been getting hurt from the time you were born. When you first started trying to walk, you fell down and probably bumped your knee or your ankle. You kept getting up and trying to walk again. And you got hurt. When you rode your bicycle, you may have fell off and skinned your knee. Nobody said, you're getting old. Even though the reality is you are getting old. You're getting old from the time you're born. From the time you're 1 day old, tomorrow you're older, 2 days old. Nobody comes up to a 1-year-old and says, well, you know what? I seen you trying to walk the other day and you fell down. You better be careful. You're not as young as you used to be. But the reality is, if that is your reality, that's as true then as it is when you're 80 or 90 or 60 or 40 or whatever age it happens to be. What do you want to believe? What do you want to perceive in your life? What do you want to create, or what reality do you want to step into? Do you want to step into the reality that the pharmaceutical companies tell you that, you know what, once you get to be about 30 or 40, you're going to start having some erectile dysfunction. But we got the thing for you. We got the pill right here. We got the Viagra. We got this, I think there's vigor or something. There's 2 or 3 other different kinds of Viagra is the one everyone knows. So, yeah, well, we got this pill that's going to take care of all that for you. If you grow up hearing that over and over countless times, if you're into listening to TV, watching TV or radio, you come to believe that that's probably going to be your reality in the future, because that subconsciously programs you to believe that when you get to be a certain age, you're going to have a problem. Okay, they don't say anything that maybe the problem is you're not exercising, you're not taking care of yourself emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually. You've allowed yourself to let go. You've gained quite a bit of weight. You're not very active. You don't have any drive or motivation in your life. The reason you're walking around when you're in your teens, how do I say it, at attention all the time as a young man, just think about how much vigor and life you have in you. The dreams, the beliefs. You think the world is your oyster. It's at your feet. And for some reason, the older you get, you don't believe that's the case. But it is the case if you believe it to be. I'm 61 years old. I have a vision. I have a goal. I have goals. I have vision. I have a purpose in life. I have dreams. You can have dreams at any age. There are many, many people who did not come to fruition in their life until they hit 50, 60, 70 years old. I met a man the other day, 80 years old, driving a cement truck. He's not going to retire. He told me that his friends retired and they were dead within a short time. I think he was the one that told me, or someone else told me that. I've heard that many times. He's going to keep going as long as he can. But I'll guarantee you there's people that tell him he needs to retire. He needs to take it easy. He needs to ease up. Oh, and especially if he gets hurt or if he's limping around because maybe he's got a stiff leg from sitting all day driving the truck or pushing the gas or the clutch or whatever. They're going to tell him that. And you know why? Misery loves company. Most people that are older, 60, 70, even in their 50s, some in their 40s, are done. They think their life is over. Their best years are behind them. I disagree. My best years are now and in front of me. I have learned something in life that took me all this time to learn that makes life flow a lot smoother. I have a trust that I've developed that no matter how bad I screwed things up in my life, and I've screwed things up a hell of a lot of times pretty bad by my own self-will, and somehow come through it all better on the other side. Not bitter, but better. Do I hate my ex-wives? I got 4 of them. No, I don't. And they did some dastardly deeds to me. Tried to have me thrown in jail, accused me of molesting my kids. I lost this house that I bought back that I'm living in now. I lost another, well, the other one was a mansion. This is a big house, but the other was a mansion. I lost that. And I could go on and on about all the material things that I lost. And I was almost thrown in jail, almost lost my freedom. I had to leave the country, and I was in another country, almost lost my freedom there, all because they tried to destroy me. But they didn't destroy me. But the part of me that needed to be destroyed was destroyed. To where I finally realized that maybe, just maybe, something or someone or God or whatever you want to call it has a better plan for me than I could ever have for myself. So I surrendered to life. Now that doesn't mean giving up and not getting up and doing something. It's actually the opposite. You keep getting back up when you're knocked down, but you surrender to the moment and you move in the direction of your vision and take your focus off your problems and the difficulties that you're mired in, that you're drowning in. And you trust that it's all for you, all for your good. You trust that things are happening for you and not to you. But the advantage of being older, I'm able to look back and see these terrible tragedies, or traumas, as people, I don't like to call them traumas because to me it's not a trauma, it's just life, that I went through that was so horrible. And I lost my kids 4 or 5 times. I had to walk away from 6 of my children in Guatemala. Didn't know if I was ever going to get to see them again. Today, they're all with me. We've been together for 10 years. It's great. And I can tell you many, many things like that that seem terrible. And if I told you the story, you'll have to read the book. Coming Back Home, The True Adventure of Mark Daniels, available on Amazon. And you'll see that when life hands you lemons, you make lemonade. That's kind of a trite saying, but when life hands you a big old crap lump sandwich that you can't even swallow, that there's something good in there, but you got to look for that good. You can't see it when you're in the midst of it or when you're eating this crap sandwich because it tastes pretty bad. But if you can just trust that somehow this is working for your good, and on the other side of this, when you get through this, you're going to be glad it happened. Now, it doesn't make you feel any better in the moment, but I think it gives you just enough hope to get up one more time and press forward. And you may get knocked down again, as I have time and time again. But as I said, I have no animosity towards my ex-wives or anybody that was involved, any people in the system who, some of them maliciously, had malicious intent toward me too. And I can see why they did. And were instrumental in pushing things to a point where I had to leave the country. But it all worked for my good, so how can I be angry at any of them? They all did me a favor. They all helped me. It didn't look like help at the time, but it was. So the point I'm making here is at my age, looking back and, in retrospect, I can see how everything was happening for me. It's almost like I was involved in this drama that was created by me for me. But I couldn't see at the time, but now I can. What do they say? Hindsight is 2020. This is very true. So think about that. Think about your life from the perspective of no blame. Think about it from the perspective of these terrible things, these seemingly terrible things that happen to you in your life are actually happening for you. And look back on it with that perspective. Look back in the past and search for the good. How has it helped you? But you have to take the word blame out of your vocabulary. Quit blaming and see what part you played in it. Because you played a part in it, you created it, or you stepped into that reality. I think there are an infinite number of realities you can choose or step into, which determines where you are now. And you can change that and step into a different reality whenever you desire to. But you first need to look on everything that's happened to you through a lens of, let's say, optimism or positivity. How did it help you? Instead of being angry at the people, places, situations, institutions, whatever, instead of being angry at that, because that gives you a perspective of this happened to you, against you, to knock you down, to push you back, to hold you down. When in reality, it doesn't have to be that way. You have the choice of perception. Your world is a choice of perception. You've chose the perception. Why is it some people look at the world and they think it's a beautiful, wonderful place? Other people look at it as a dangerous, dark, gloomy place. Some people in the religions of the world look at it as a fallen world. It's a terrible place. But I beg to differ. It's the perfect place for spiritual or emotional growth. What if everything was perfect? What if everybody loved each other and treated everybody wonderfully? How would you ever grow in character? You would never have any opposition, no resistance for your mental characteristics to get strong, to be strengthened. Just as a man goes to the gym and lifts weights to get stronger and to build muscle, you need resistance for that. You also need resistance within your mind to strengthen your character, to strengthen your force of will, to learn to control your thinking. And as your thinking creates your life or determines what reality you step into, don't you think a person needs to learn how to strengthen that will so he can control his thoughts? Many people say, change your thinking, change your life. This is very true. They say, whoever they are, that most people think the same thoughts today that they did yesterday over and over again. They don't change their thinking. And guess what? The same things happen over and over and over again. If you don't change your thoughts, if you don't allow something new to come into your head, to these ears, you're going to think the same thing tomorrow that you did yesterday and the day after and the day after. And if thinking does create your life, and if your world is formed by your thoughts, as Buddha said, Marcus Aurelius has said it, Jesus Christ said it, etc. Many of the great spiritual mystics, leaders of our time have said that. But yet, so many people seem to be deaf to that. But yet, if you look at your life objectively, you will see how whatever happened in your life was preceded by a certain dominant way of thinking. Very important. I'm going to stop for now. I'm about to lose my voice. I will have to edit this video because I lost my voice during the video and had to restart. So normally I don't edit my videos. If I make a mistake, hey, I'm human. I haven't surpassed the humanness yet, although I would like to. So I'm going to check out here. If you'd like to get my help personally, my website, marksinspiration.com. Be sure to stay tuned this coming Saturday, the 15th, for the podcast at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. We're going to have Sparty Fortune of Team Fortune, one of the greatest dating coaches out there. He's a great guy. I know him personally. We're going to have a great time. So come and join us. 6 p.m. Saturday night Central Standard Time. The Power is Within podcast. So I'm going to go. Thanks for joining me. Have a great day.